Are you tapping your foot?
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I thought someone was like walking downstairs. So I was about to go get him.
Dude, last night, actually, I spooked myself. I was listening, I was watching, like I do every night, just 1 minute YouTube shorts of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
With like awful, super like deep fried contrast on them and awful music. And it's just like, why does this stimulate my brain?
And the whole time you're thinking, like, I should watch that show. And you're like, I'm not going to.
Why am I watching a minute clip of the show with like that's the music in the background, right? And like it looks like someone dunked the like actual video footage in like a deep fryer.
Yeah.
And it's just like their wrinkles are literally like, boldened black lines on their faces. I'm like, but something about my brain is like, no, this is a fever dream. Like this is what, and it's almost like it's like what it looks like in your mind's eye when you're imagining something, right? But anyways, I was watching one of those and I heard like this like ooh sound and I was like, what the fuck? And it literally sounded like someone had just pushed like my screen door in or something like that. Like it was just like a thing where my brain was like, oh, that's someone pushing through the screen door, like because it's locked. And so I was like, but how else did I get in? And I kind of sat up and Billie Jean was already asleep. And I hear again like a and I'm like, what the? So I pull my headphones off and I'm looking around and I'm listening. And I've like got the drawer open to grab my gun and I'm in my skivvies and I'm like, all right, like I do have a buddy who's about to get married and he's staying the night with me. He's been staying the night with me for the last couple of weeks because, he wants to honor his marriage and honor God and not be making sweet babies before marriage and living together. So he's living with me rather than the apartment they'll be in. And I was like, I don't want to blow away my homie. Right. But I don't want JB to be splattered on the wall. But I knew he was already home and he was apparently in bed. And I can't imagine would get up after going to bed. And so I walked out and I hear nothing. I'm looking, I'm like, I see everything's closed, like doorways from the upstairs. So I go back and I'm like, wait a second. And I rewind the video and it was like the most perfect, subtle surround sound that it just was out of key with like the rest of the track and scene, but it was legit, like all in the track. But I mean, it gave me spine chills. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's one of those ones where you're like, what the fuck? What was that? Like a dog. So.
Yeah, dude, I think like it should be illegal also in radio commercials.
But police sirens.
Yeah. And or cars honking.
Oh, is that something that gets you when you're driving around?
Oh yeah. I'm driving someone like it's like a honk or like a vroom by and you're like about to swerve out of the way or something.
Yeah.
Because every once in a while, your old ears play a trick on you.
No, that's true. The police sirens one gets me, but I've heard a couple of people tell us, I don't know if they tell you this, but I've had a couple of people tell me that our ad break.
Ours might get them.
Well, it's the lighter, but it was at one point the car siren.
Yeah, it had a little bit of
And I don't know if that is still live on an episode or not, because I think all of them updated to the lighter. But I did have someone tell me once, they were like, dude, the siren got me. Like, you got to change that. And I was like, really?
Am I saying something should be illegal that I have done?
Exactly, bro. It's hypocrite.
Freaking hypocritical.
Dude, though, speaking of dogs.
I think I was a hypocrite, but
I'm getting a doggy.
You're getting a dog?
Yeah, I pick up my dog on Monday.
Oh, dang, dude. That's a big commitment.
Yeah, no, my wife's been wanting to get one for a while, and she was looking at dogs, and we've looked at dogs for the last couple of years, just, oh yeah, or even a cat.
Right.
And we didn't get one just because we were on a 3rd floor apartment, and I was like, dude, I'm not gonna put a dog in an apartment.
It's a rotten life for a dog.
Yeah, and have to walk it downstairs and walk it back up 3-4 times a day. And it was just one of those things that it wasn't much space, and it wasn't a great amount of space for a cat either. There's nowhere really to privately put the litter box and not have the smell be bad.
Yeah.
So now that we're in a house, 2,600 square feet, we got like a garage and stuff. And I'm like, even if you have a dog that doesn't do good inside, you can put it in your garage when you're gone with like food and things like that, and just make sure like anything it could like knock over and hurt itself with is just secured. Not like I would plan on ever doing that, but it's just like one of those things like a lot of people, I think, make excuses why they can't get a dog. Like, oh, I leave so much and stuff, and I wouldn't want to leave them in like the living room where you could just chew my couch up. I'm like,
right.
You still have a good dog, and just if you can't put him outside, just like put him in an environment where it's okay if he behaves like a dog. He can't break anything. Anyways, all that said, I knew Billie Jean was really getting serious because she saw a dog one night when we were in bed, and she started getting kind of teary-eyed because it looked like a dog she had as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And I could tell there was a lot of emotional investment already starting to happen. And so I was like, all right, like let's do some research, make a list of dogs we want to look at, because you gotta apply for dogs. And you have to like apply for dogs like you apply for like a loan.
So like for like did you go like rescue or adoption?
Well, all options in Colorado now are like you have to go through like a shelter. You can't like go through a breeder anymore. And with that, like you have to apply to most shelters. Like they have an application process of like 10 or so questions, and you have to like answer like questions like what will happen to the dog if you adopt the animal and both you and your partner die?
Yeah.
Who will get the dog if you get a divorce?
Yeah.
It's like, it's all questions like that. And it's like, how, in like the questions like, what's your experience with pets? Please list it below. And it's like a table, and it's like pet's name, age of pet, alive or dead, age when it died. And it's just like breed. And it's like, they want all the info. And I'm like, all right, like, I told Billie Jean, if you're serious, let's get a list of the dogs together that we'd look at, and then let's start doing some applications. And she wasted no time. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, she's really serious. And now she needs to know, like, I'm on board too. Like, I'm not just like trying to occupy her while I forget about it. Like, once I see like she's very serious about it, I'm like, okay, all right. So I told her, I was like, let's get a dog bed. But rather than getting one, because she's such a good seamstress, I was like, how about you sew us a dog bed?
Oh, nice.
And we'll save the money, and we'll use the stuffing we have, because we have a ton of extra like polyfill stuffing, and she's got a ton of fabric left over. And she's like, that's a great idea. So she did it in one day.
Oh, wow.
There's a big, really nice, it's a dog bed that'd be like $80. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Very well like reinforced stitching, and it's got like the quilting pattern in it.
Oh,
of like little holes that like what's it called? It's like pinned.
Oh yeah,
like fancy couch cushions.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right, we're doing this. So we went and saw a couple, and the first one we saw we really liked, and then a couple of the other ones we saw, but they had like they had some behavioral issues, like not really good on a leash, and like I mean just not able to walk on a leash, like literally a dog that just chaos,
wild.
Stressed, running around.
You're not getting are you getting a puppy? Or getting a
no, we're not getting a puppy. We looked at a couple puppies just in case. And then, dude, we found Sadie.
Oh wow!
Now, Sadie probably won't be her name, but it's her name on the it's their name at the shelter that they just assign, right? But she's an Anatolian Shepherd, so she's a Turkish like livestock guardian dog.
Yeah, that's pretty serious breed.
And she's like that, and Great Pyrenees mix.
Nice.
Which is also another livestock dog. And we were like, we'll see. We read her stuff online. It was like she doesn't like to be home alone. She needs to be able to see out the windows. She has anxiety if like the owner of the home's not around.
Yeah.
But it's like she's very sweet. She's very gentle. She gets along with cats and dogs. She, is very gentle around all people. No fear or skittishness around people. And I was like, all right, let's see. So we meet up with this dude who's been looking after her. And he's like
fostering.
Yeah, fostering.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's like, we would adopt her, but we're retired and we're trying to travel more. And she's really a dog who needs someone home quite a bit. To get her used to it and adjusted to the environment and okay with being left alone. Like you won't be able to leave her alone
For a while.
Yeah, for like the first couple months or so, maybe. Like you will want someone home with her for a while, or not like alone for very long. I was like, okay, cool. But I was like asking him about it. I was like, what's this behavior? You know, he's like, well, not in my house since I've been fostering her, but in the previous one, I don't think they had a lot of time to like kind of help her get acclimated. And she like knocked down blinds trying to look out windows.
It's a big dog.
She's like 85 pounds. Yeah. If you saw her though, she looks just like she's big, but she's not like, you know, we're not talking like a, what's the word? Not Doberman, Great Dane.
Right. No, not that big, but still like not a small dog.
I think she'd fuck a Great Dane up though. It's great because when we were at the shelter, she wasn't there. She was being fostered, of course. But then when they so she wasn't having to stay there. And when we met them up at the shelter and we were walking around with her, there was all these other dogs, these like pit bulls, and all these dogs just, you know, like losing their mind. Bro, dude, Sadie, she'd like walk right up to, like, not even like perk up, threatened or anything. She would walk over to the cage and just look at them, just like kind of sniff around while they're like losing their mind, like feral fangs out. Bro, she showed no aggression and would just like walk away. And the guy, he was like, yeah, so see how she doesn't care? He's like, if she cares, you'll know. Like, and he's like, I've seen it once where she rolls back her front shoulders, and rather than like a pity where it goes in, like from like, you know, the feet going in, her feet roll out and the chest comes out, and the like ears, her ears is so floppy and hangy, but her ears roll back and face forward, and her eyes go wide. And they're like, he's like, that's like if they think like this is wolf mode, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, sick.
It's a kind of all or nothing. Like, that's the cool thing about those shepherd dogs. You know, I've been around Pyrenees before. I had a Bernese mountain dog that was partial Pyrenees, and then also I've been in the mountains before and ran into mountains and ranch lands, farmlands, running into Pyrenees dogs and like shepherds, and they are super relaxed until it's time to not be relaxed anymore.
Yeah, until like it's like legit, like you've demonstrated that like you could be a threat.
And that's why I think they're great like family dogs. And like if you want a dog that so
she's got like the sad floppy ear face, but like she's so cute. And he showed me a picture. These aren't one of those, but it like when she's on mode, when she's at like, what is that? And she's on like kind of patrol guard mode. She looks like the thing, you know, she looks like the classic depiction, but
it turns on.
Yeah. Keep going. Sorry. I just wanted to show you those pictures.
For sure. Cause the, around a family, things like that. If you want a dog that's going to kind of like be defensive of your family, but you don't want to have to, you know,
don't have to like protect the mailman,
a Malinois or a German Shepherd or whatever, like to be like, you know, and really like have it reined in. Like cool thing about other shepherds is like, they really don't care, but they really can have a really good instinct, like for when it really is time to be serious about something.
Smoke break. Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution. Yeah, and like I've been doing a lot of research into this breed because I knew we were looking at her and we had looked at another one already. And they need a job because they're high energy in the brain. Like their brain is wired to patrol and keep track of and secure, but like they're not like other shepherding dogs or herd dogs. Like they don't shepherd and herd in like the nipping, going for the ankles, or the barking. Like they don't bark to direct the herd. You know, they like, if you ever see videos of Anatolian Shepherds or Great Pyrenees, this is for people who don't know what we're talking about. If you look it up, you often find them and they look like they are like almost hiding and blending in with the sheep. You know what I mean? And like they literally blend in so well that they just kind of go with their herd or the flock where it travels. And then if danger arrives, because danger thinks, oh, that's a bunch of sheep, I can do whatever I want. Then they come out and you see them come out of the flock, like, and you're like, oh shit, like those aren't sheep. Like, and they're watching me and they're big.
Yeah. Cause they're really not herd dogs. They're not herding dogs. They're shepherding dogs. So they like,
exactly.
They're not out there, you know, like, have you seen the movie Babe?
Yeah.
You know, like out there, you know, yeah, like you said, nipping and corralling. They're just more out there. They're just chilling on the hillside.
Yeah, and like even though like some other shepherding dogs, like German Shepherds, I think are pretty high energy and pretty vocal. Like German Shepherds, like bark to sound alarm or communicate. Like they really do talk to their owners and stuff. And like the Malinois, sorry, not the Malinois, the Great Pyrenees and the Anatolian Shepherds, from what I've just been reading online and other people who had them, and from what I hear from the people who've been fostering Sadie, it's more like you know, like at most she's spoken or said anything is just like you know, to let people know like, hey, I think someone's at the door. And she'll go and stand at the window and stand at the door and hoof at it until you come by. And like, but once you come by and stand next to her and acknowledge like she's there, she chills out. But she legit like if you don't come to the door, she just stays there waiting for you to come and kind of relieve her of duty, which I really like that kind of concept of, right? And like that she's not going to need like a ton of super high energy, like, you know, a lot of high energy, like fetch play. But like what, like everyone said online is like, you just need to take them on like the same walk 3 times a day. Like give them the same 1 mile, 2 mile circuit, like 2 or 3 times a day. So that way, and they can get the brain like observation stuff out of their head. And she was great on a leash, bro. Like she's a big dog. And even though I wasn't like who she's used to walking her, that guy took off ahead of us and I had the leash and she never pulled. She went at my pace. And if I stopped, she stopped. If she stopped to smell something and I whistled or said her name, she was like, all right, we're going on. And so it's like, it's really cool to see like she's already got like really good instinctual kind of behavior for like what makes a good dog a good dog. And I'm also just excited to work with her on the other stuff. Like apparently she's like just a big weenie. Like when it comes to sleeping alone, like she just wants to sleep she doesn't want to sleep in the bed with you. She wants
to be in the room.
She just wants to be in the room, but she doesn't want to be, she doesn't like being in like a human bed. And then the other thing is she's just scared of stairs. Oh yeah. Which I kind of like the idea of working with her to get over it. Like that's just like a cool bonding thing I think that you get to do with the dog. Cause you know, a lot of people don't realize it, but like puppies are terrified of stairs. They just get over it at a young age.
From learning it.
Yeah. From learning it. And like a lot of dogs, if they're not raised around stairs are weird and scary. Yeah. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that stuff, but we're really excited. We bought all the food bowls and a leash and collar already, and we'll take her to pick out a toy, and we're going to get the food samples right to figure out which one is best for her. But anyways, yeah, I think I have a couple names. I was all here. Someone's going to be like, this is baloney. Someone's going to
Sadie's a name for a cat.
Sadie's a name for a cat or a woman. Like, you know, but, or cat woman. But I want like I I want a strong consonant name.
Oh yeah.
And I also really like a lot of the enunciation and consonant soundings of like a lot of Native American words.
Oh, nice.
And I'm also apparently like a 16th or whatever, or an 8th. I can't remember. But like I know like
a little less because then you get free college.
Well, I think I could have gotten free college.
Oh wow.
According to like my mom and uncles and stuff, and my actual grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
There's just like no like genealogy record of it right now, right? Which is why I kind of want to do the 23andMe. But I like this one called I'll gotta double check, but I'm pretty sure it's Takani.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like Takani is just like two very like significant, distinguished sounding consonants, but it has a soft ending. And that soft ending, I think, is like feminine. And so it's a good name for a female dog. But Takani, I think, is like a very clear consonant sound amongst the other names of like Bob and Fred and Bubba and Duke. You know what I mean?
Names that end in an I sound for dogs are good.
Why is that?
They just kind of like you can say it with a little bit of that playful inflection at the end, and they like it and they come to you for it.
Yeah.
What's it mean though?
I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, it is one of the northern Inuit tribes' word for bear. But I have to double check that one. I wasn't trying to go off of meaning as much.
Okay.
Because I didn't want it to be like, I don't know. I don't believe in like a lot of like your dog's name needs to have like a significant meaning. Like I do like the name Dakota for a male dog, because Dakota means friends with everybody. And that's like a good, I mean, Dakota is a good, friendly dog name.
Here's on a brief word search.
Yeah.
Now Anatolia hails from now the modern day Turkey.
Yep.
Now Turkish people don't like to necessarily be like lumped in with everybody else and be their own thing, but Takani is a Persian word, which Turkey being a lot closer to Persian areas and having this Semitic language background means shaking the house, which
that's kind of fitting for like a big ass dog.
Exactly. It's kind of cool. Just shaking the house when she puts in that wolf mode, dude.
I guess Takani's also some Native American tribal word for wolf. That's the other thing, is like a lot of Native American tribes, it's the Eskimo word for wolf. There's a lot of overlapping words, because they're like the tribes had a lot of blending of different languages, right? And like you could have people quote unquote underneath the what was it, Apache tribe, but like there's different kind of more smaller tribes underneath the term Apache tribe, right? So like there's a couple words I looked up that was like the most common pet name for a dog from like the Apache tribe was one that just literally translated like directly to shit pet.
Yeah.
Because it literally like in Apache meant like this is the animal that eats its own shit. And I was like, that's hilarious. Like, but there's other ones like Algonquin and Iroquois and all that like have different cool names. But anyways, yeah. So I do like that. That's cool. It's kind of cool. But my wife hit me with one that I'm like having a hard time saying no to. She said, "What about the name Desi, like from East of Eden?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, damn." Like right in the feels. Like even though Desi is not as much of like that strong consonant sound, Desi was a phenomenal girl. She's probably the best girl. Yeah. Like I'm just like, and there's like that book has a lot of significance to me, so it's kind of hard to not think of that being as a decent name.
Not a bad name. Got that I inflection in there too. I'm telling you, people like people like the I on the end of the dog names for some reason. It's just like
Dookie.
Yeah, exactly.
You've never owned a dog since I've known you.
Yeah, I haven't.
And I don't know if you're a dog person.
I haven't owned a dog in my adult life. I guess you could say I've never personally owned a dog. We had family dogs growing up.
Yeah. Me too. Like, I never had a dog that was supposed to be like, this is your dog, and if you don't take care of it, it goes away.
Yeah.
I had dogs that I was the primary caretaker responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like family, just like my mom would buy the food, but like I fed the dog, I walked the dog, I clean up the dog's poop.
Right.
You know, but it was never like, this is my first dog in my adult life too, like where I'm full party responsible for it.
Yeah. So for me, I have aspirations. I want to own like 5 dogs at one time.
Really?
Yeah, but I also kind of don't. Here's the problem. Kind of like how I want to be a fake cowboy. Like I want to own a ranch that some other guy manages for me. Yeah. And when I show up,
I want to own a ranch. I just don't want to do any of the farming.
Yeah, exactly. And when I come in under my helicopter, I come out and in my clean boots, and he has my horse saddled, and then I swing my leg over and I ride the horse like 30 yards to the barn, and then and then like wait for him to catch up. Then I hand him the reins and I swing my leg back over, and he like takes the saddle off. Yeah. And not that that's what I really want, but I do when I do like a true evaluation of myself, I'm like in my mind, like want to be I could be a rancher. Like, you really want to wake up at like 2 a.m. every day and like go chuck hay? Like, I'm like, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I have the old stones to get that. You know what I mean? So anyway, similarly. With saying I want, 4 or 5 dogs, I don't know if that's what I really want or not, but the couple pieces to not owning a dog yet is, has been like, I have had some like, my leases in my houses have been like,
no
just
dogs.
like no pet like situations, and so I'm like, okay, and it got to the point now where I am now, it does have the no pet thing, but I could probably, like at this point, how long I've been in my house, I could like get my landlords to agree to us having that. But then we also like brought kids into the mix. Yeah. And like every couple of years we bring kids into the mix. And so like 3 kids, it has always been like, okay, honestly, how busy I'm at work, it's going to be the wife's duty to like during the day have to also manage this thing. Yeah. And so like that's been a piece of it. Old Mace Windu, not a huge animal person, so she's not like.
I heard Mace Windu. I think it was from you that Mace Windu is not the biggest fan of dogs.
No, or just animals.
Just animals in general.
Like in general. Yeah. That's why I've been looking at like properties where I could put my office. Yeah. That also has like pastures and stalls. Yeah. So that then I can have like keep my dogs and my horses and my cows there at my office and at my like work where I go every day, but then my wife doesn't have to deal with them ever, and that would be like an ideal situation. But like,
what if that was just like 1,000 feet from your house?
I know,
that would be the most ideal situation.
Well, definitely for me, for sure. But
well, and she wouldn't have to interact.
She wouldn't have to deal with them, like right, and for sure. So there's all those things, but I'm gonna own a dog someday. I should have bought one years ago, specifically for the purposes of hunting. I really, really, really want to have a good hunting dog.
Me too. That was the number one thing I wanted. And then I was like, well, I should probably go hunting
before
I get a hunting dog. But like, so that's why I'm like, I'll take this, because I could honestly see myself bringing Sadie. And she just wouldn't, like, I don't think she would never, I think, really be a retriever dog.
She'd kind of be along for the ride.
But she'd be along for the ride, and she would, I think, let me know far better when something was nearby than I could on my own.
Yeah, for sure. And so, like, I think, like, also owning a dog is one thing, and then owning a good hunting dog is, like, a whole nother level of, like, it has to be a part of your lifestyle that you train and pour into the animal. Yeah. And so, while I have the fantasy of owning a great hunting dog, that means also to be in a position to really own that. But someday I will own a great hunting dog. And then also for my 3 kids, so when I said 5 dogs, it'd be 4 dogs and
one for each kid.
Exactly.
And me.
Exactly. So I want a Bernese Mountain Dog, and a full blood Pyrenees, and then oh my goodness, the breeds escaping me. It's very similar in the same way. It's a
Tibetan Mastiff.
No, not the Mastiff. It's oh my goodness. Anyways, I'll remember it someday when it's time to buy it.
Yeah.
But basically, they're these giant, fluffy shepherd dogs, kind of lazy, like to hang out and just be around, take massive poops. So you got to have a big yard to own all three of those. But then I'm going to have my lab, my hunting dog, and the three big dogs are going to get to do whatever they want. They're going to get to like have the rule of the roost. They can even come inside sometimes. That's the other thing too, is like I'm not a huge like inside dog fan. Like I think like it's like they can be in the kitchen and like the living room, but they don't go like down the basement or like up in the bedrooms. It's kind of like, you know, they know where they're allowed to be. But then the hunting dog, he knows like his only job is to sit next to me and sit next to me. And when he's not doing that, he like lives in the garage and he has a doggy door and he can go outside and come back in. But like, he is literally like a servant at my will. And it fulfills his and here's the deal.
Fulfills every like biological thing, like desire in his brain.
Right, exactly that too. So like because this is what he's made for. So that and if you've ever been around a good duck dog,
oh yeah,
when you pull the gun out of the case, they freak out. They're they're howling, they're like spinning in circles, and like they like run out and just sit in the truck, and they're just like sitting in the truck and wanting to go get ducks. Like and so. I mean, a lot of people don't get it, but like the work genetic ingrained in some of these dogs is stronger than the desire to reproduce. Like think about you as a dude and how powerful it's been in your brain to, you know, make coitus. How it's come over.
Hey, like imagine like you want to do something else more than that. You know, it's just like that I think that's crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like that, like, so I don't know if that, I guess I'll say this. I don't know if that's true. That's what I read from like some dog science expert about that was studying dog brains and dopamine in dog brains. But essentially like those work breeds, like the border collie and the Highland collie and all those like other herding dogs, like they live to go out and chase sheep, and like that is more powerful in their brain than anything else, which is why like they will often die doing it. Like they'll just like when they get old, a lot of times they go out and they just don't come back one day. Because they just like they die out there in the field with the flock doing what they love. And it's stronger than anything else in their brain, and like that's excellent. That's cool. Well, like I want, and like if that's the way the dog is, I want to give it that life. You know what I mean? I don't want to force a dog to, you know, like with Sadie, I'm not going to squirt Sadie with the water bottle every time she runs to the door and, you know, stands there until I come stand next to her. Like, sure, will that be inconvenient? Yes. But that's also like her in her mind thinking, hey, there is something out there.
Right.
And I need to stand guard until master comes to let me know he's aware of it and we can go back to what we were doing. Right. And like it'd be different if she would go there and scratch at the door and bark 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 forever. You know, like that's a thing that you want to curb that behavior. But if it's just simply like the dog doing his brain thing of like what it really is bred to be, like that's almost like something you kind of want to reinforce because that's going to give it a good, happy life. Yeah,
for sure. The third one I wanted it's a Newfoundland, which is also like just big old fluffy. So yeah, these I want these three big fluffy dogs, one for each of my kids, and then I want, you know, my lab, and his name's, you know, I'm going just full, you know,
Duke,
you know, something along those lines where it's just like, oh really? Could you like Remington, Ranger, Sage, you know, whatever. I don't care. But we're going somewhere in there, in that realm of thinking. And so someday I'll have a dog. The two big hangups, there's three big hangups would be this. I need some more I feel like I need a little more like land or property. If I'm going for the 4 dogs.
Well, yeah, no kidding.
I need some more space. And then also I do need,
more time.
I need to like commit to like, you know, taking care of that animal. And then also got to get my wife on board. And I think like now we're kind of like, we're getting done having kids. And they're gonna, as they become less babies and less toddlers, I think it's gonna be good. Mm-hmm. But also, dude, like, I got to get a dog stat because my kids are wusses around dogs. Like we're all my friends who have kids who own dogs, like they're totally fine. But my kids, like, a big dog comes out and they're like, shaking, they start crying if it gets up and licks their face, and like,
really.
And it's understandable that if your first interaction, like when you're not used to it, if something that literally to us came in here that was 12 feet tall, and licked your face, you'd be like, Park, bro. You'd be like,
I'm lunch.
This is not good. Like you're, yeah, exactly. It's like little
freaking grizzly bear walks in here.
My little buddy, he's like, my little 2-year-old. I mean, he just is like unhinged when a dog comes by. But he loves animals. Really? Like he loves dogs from like 10 feet away. He's like enthralled. And then once it comes and licks his face, or like its tail, like brushes its head, he like turns at me and is like, Daddy, they tried to get me. It's like freaking out. And like, okay, we got to get these kids some animals or they're going to be totally wusses around animals.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. There is definitely pictures of me as a kid growing up, not happy that I'm being made to pose with a dog. Mm-hmm. But I never can recall ever being afraid of a
non-violent dog.
Like, yeah, like I can't, I don't have any distinct memory of like a dog messing me up or scaring me as a kid. Mm-hmm. I do have a very distinct memory of my dog, Jake. He was a border collie, my first dog. Mm-hmm. I remember him being very protective over me when someone else's dog got off their leash and charged at me. I remember him fucking that dog up, dude.
Yeah, he meant
like
business.
he put that dog in the gutter and just held it down.
It's
and I remember like going over there and be like, Jake, and trying to pull him off. And it was like that dog knew, like that dog knew I was scared and trying to make it stop. And it also knew that if it did stop, I would get bit by the other dog.
Right.
Because that other owner hadn't caught up to it yet. Mm-hmm. And so it was weird that like to have a dog that was smarter than me at that age. It was like, second grade and stuff. And it was just like, I just remember being like, in my eyes, I was like, this is my hero. Mm-hmm. And dude, freaking wept when we put it down. I went in, said goodbye to him. Dude, that dog was my best friend for sure for like a couple of years of my life.
Yeah. We get close to our dogs, man. And
like,
it's cool.
Especially when you see them do something like that.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I bet, like, was he a violent dog?
Never.
Like, no. But
never. Like, he went after stuff. Like, he got a couple of squirrels, but like he never bit a person.
Like, people and stuff.
Never.
All of a sudden, like when there was a real threat coming at you, it just that instinct snapped in, and that's what I love about, and why I think I want a good hunting dog so bad is like, and also the breeds I like of these shepherd dogs I was talking about, because their instincts and their protection are awesome. Like the dog you're getting is like a dog that's been bred to do a particular thing. When you watch them do that thing and their instincts kick in, it is just the most incredible and fascinating thing to me when you see a dog doing that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited. Maybe I'm sure she'll be good around kids and all that stuff. And maybe we can like go to a park or something and your mini Pats and mini Mace Windu can, get accustomed to a big dog that is like, because I'm pretty sure she's just gonna have the same mild behavior like a retriever does, where like people just like kids just are patting and brushing her and she's just like, okay, like whatever,
for what sure.
I mean? But all that said,
well,
go for it.
Well, I was before we get to the next thing, because as the holidays approach, we've been playing a game with the box of beer.
Oh yeah, we haven't had a beer this whole time,
and so I thought your whistle might be getting wet, and
well, it needs to be wet.
And if this is your first time tuning in, well, there's a beer that we really don't like to drink called the Holiday Ale, and we got a multi-pack here.
Is it still just one thumb down?
It's I'll give it 2 down.
Okay.
Because since then, the only thing we've had worse is like the nightmare fuel or whatever it's called.
I don't even think that was worse.
I don't know, dude. That battery acid was bad.
I don't think it was worse. I think it was. I think we gave that one like each 1 thumb down.
I know we got that one too.
I know we didn't give it 4 thumbs down.
Anyways, here's the deal. Mick's got he's grab bagging a mystery beer. Here we go. He's reaching in. Oh, I just knocked something over. Here we go. He's pulling in there. There's a risk of getting the nasty one. Oh, he's
another
safe.
trapel. Yes.
He's safe. All right. Nice work.
All right, you drawing?
All right, I'll draw. He's going to mix it up here real quick. And I'm going to reach in there and see what I find because, like we said, the holidays are approaching. We got to share the holiday cheer. And the holiday ale is, I'm safe. Voodoo Ranger. We're clean. We're clean.
It's so gross, dude. I can't believe it's so gross. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around, like, people drinking that in, like, the taste testing, trials and being like, yeah, no, that's send that out. You know what I mean?
It's pretty wild for sure. Oh man,
it tastes like fermented snickerdoodle dough. You know what I mean? Like apple cider spilt on snickerdoodle and fermented. It doesn't taste like beer.
Yeah,
it tastes like the stuff you pour off of the top of a beer. Anyways, Pat,
sir,
I'm reading a horror story.
Oh man,
I'm reading it in Braille.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were such a Renaissance man.
Yeah, something bad is going to happen. I can just feel it.
God, that's funny. Classic. That's a dad joke. You're about ready to have a kid.
I know, right? Okay, I'm about to get a dog, so I need to get like some kind of training and practice on how to lighten the levity of something not so serious. Yeah, no, I just figured that would be a good transition there. Because actually I have two horror stories here, two real life horror stories. One of them took place back in like 2021. And it's a little bit longer, and I'll get into that later just because I got like the whole story to go through and kind of give a breakdown of. But it was just so fascinating and startling to me of how this whole story played out, and I was like, dude, I gotta show this to Pat. So that was it, and it's a murder that took place in Grand Junction, Colorado in 2021. Oh dude, do you know what it is already?
Maybe
the Brian Cohey murder.
That young guy
who murdered the homeless man.
Yeah.
Oh, you already know about this?
You watched a video of him getting arrested?
Yeah.
All right.
That video is what flipped it for me,
dude,
right?
It's
that was the most unsettling, like cinematic confession of a serial killer. Like I saw that and I was like, they live among us. Yeah. They are not just on the silver screen. Like they live among us, and this is real.
This is not scripted by some nasty producers and writers who are just being sickos.
Yeah.
This really what happened.
Real dude. It pull up the video just so that way you have it up and stuff. And could just for like reference, you could skip through it because I got an article here that I'll go through it of. But the first one I wanted to talk about with you is very recent and very tragic. Probably just as tragic as that one. This was a very mentally sick man. This happened actually on, it looks like November 5th, I believe it was, when it was announced this occurred. So the night of the election. But in Duluth, Minnesota, which happens to be a place where like a lot of this stuff goes down. Like a lot of crazy, like crackhead and mentally unfit, mentally insane people are do stuff for some reason in Duluth, Minnesota. It's weird, like what their mental health insanity rate is there. But this man, Anthony Nephew, he shot himself, his wife, his ex-wife partner, and his child with each of them. So he had a child with his first partner and a child with his current wife, and he shot and killed both children as well. And then took himself out. It was on November 5th after President Donald Trump got elected. And he had posted a lot of things that were pretty unsettling leading up to this. That he had a pattern of mental health issues. He was age 46. And the police found Aaron Abramson and their son, Jacob Nephew, dead from gunshot wounds in their home. And then after identifying Anthony Nephew as the suspect, police found him and his 45-year-old wife, Catherine Nephew, and their 7-year-old son, Oliver Nephew, dead from gunshot wounds inside their home. And before the tragedy, Nephew had been sharing a lot of left-wing and anti-Trump posts on his Facebook account. Back in July, he had said something along the lines of, my mental health and this world can't coexist anymore. And the reason for that is religion. He had said he was terrified of religious zealots inflicting misguided beliefs on his family and on himself. He's had intrusive thoughts and visions of being burned at the stake like a witch or crucified on a burning cross. And like, this is stuff he posted on like Facebook and social media, right? Like, It's just like, okay, well, all right. Like, he's like, having people actually believe that I or my child are Satan or the Antichrist or whatever their favorite boogeyman they are afraid of this week. He said that Republicans are making it harder for women to leave abusive relationships. And he signed off the post saying, Gilead, here we come. Gilead is apparently a character or the author of The Handmaid's Tale, which is, of course, like this dystopian novel of like women are second-class citizens in a society that's, totalitarian and fascist. And so he put up political posts as well of Obama and Biden and Harris that had like the words hope and heal and grow underneath them, but hate underneath Trump. And he's like, not that anyone cares, but as an independent voter, I would really like to see both political parties in our country pick better candidates. Which, I mean, that's not left-leaning. He's like, we could do better than a binary choice between fascism and not fascism. Like, I don't think that's really left-leaning. You know what I mean? I think that's just political. So night of the election, I think after he realized Trump won, it seems like he killed his previous partner and their child, and then his current wife and their child, and then himself, which is pretty unsettling. You know what I mean? Like, this is someone who a lot of people are saying was totally convinced by like the mainstream media of like just this doom and gloom, end of the world if Trump wins mentality. And like, the truth is like, that's not what we're going to experience. That's not what the world's going to experience. Like, we're not going to live in a country where, we see people reacting to Trump winning the election. People are saying like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be a slave again, or I'm going to wake up as a woman and have zero rights. And like, that's just not reality. No one was enslaved his first presidency. And no one's like going to face any kind of that stuff during this one. It's just like, that's what the media has over and over and over and over been beating into the brains of these people. And so like, this guy just looks to be a guy who snapped and like totally just swallowed it all and was like, all right, yep, world's over. My wives are going to be, my ex-wife and my current wife and our children are all going to live as, second-class citizens to some fascist totalitarian state.
Mm-hmm.
And he kills him and takes his own life because he thinks it's like better than the alternative, which is, I mean, it's unreal to me that it's better. Like, they think it's better than the alternative of just enduring until another election to vote for the next political opponent you want, and enduring through and realizing, oh, it's really not that bad. Like, it's really not that bad. Like, to be under the other, I'll be honest. It's not been that bad. Has it been worse being under the Joe Biden Kamala presidency
regime. As the people like to say sometimes?
Has it been worse than other ones? Yeah. If I'm being honest, outside of like just the whole 2008 financial crash, and like around that time my mom had cancer, so we had to sell our house anyways. Like, I don't necessarily think that was like President Bush or Obama's fault during that crash and stuff. Like, I don't blame them for it, but it was like the suckiest time to be alive for me in my entire life, right? Like, that was the suckiest phase I lived through as a kid growing up. And like, but like, dude, now these last 4 years, yeah, they were tough because of money and inflation and the wars going on, but still, like, we're all okay. I'll say it was way better under Trump the 4 years before that, right? And I felt like Trump was way better than the 8 years before him. I enjoyed those 4 years under Trump immensely. But it wasn't, but again, it wasn't like, dude, no one lost rights under Trump. No one lost the ability to live their life. No one was enslaved. No one was made second-class citizens.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think the part you said about him, well, he, in his own words, said he's worried about misguided zealots.
Yeah.
Which I think he may have been one.
Bro, you know what happened? No kidding, right? You know the last time we had some zealots that were misguided and a serious threat to this country?
January 6th.
Whoa. Okay. Disagree. But I think the last time we had like religious zealots that were a threat to the nation was when that like crazy cult up in like Oregon tried to poison the whole nation with salmonella.
Yeah. And then like a little bit before that, when the Twin Towers fell.
Twin Towers fell out after that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But, you know, like,
but like those people, like those, they aren't in our nation.
Yeah, they got in a little.
They got it. Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying, right? Like those were that's an external threat.
Oh, for sure. No, because you're talking about the out in Oregon at Wild Country, the Rajneesh.
Yeah.
The Rajneesh. That was a little bit of religious zealots, misguided, dangerous individuals.
Yeah,
for sure.
Although it was, I mean, they were pretty badass there in their like red sweaters and sweatpants holding Uzis on their own private runway. I'll never forget that video footage. That video footage was like, oh shit, they mean business, dude.
Yeah. And now it's a Christian youth camp.
Is it really?
Yeah.
There's Young Life owns it, right? That's awesome.
It got donated to him when they tore down the his like throne room. He used to like the spot where he used to have like a little throne. They'd have these nasty orgies in there and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There was a den of snakes underneath the throne.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, straight up. Now it's a basketball court.
Hell yeah.
Where they play like, rock, paper, scissors and dance to music.
Have you ever seen that guy though? The recorded footage of him going over why his favorite word is fuck?
Of the Rajneesh leader?
Yeah.
No.
I thought it was a legit Middle Eastern comedian. Oh. It was so funny. And like he just had like a whole sermon on like why fuck was his favorite word.
I've never seen that.
He's like, it can be used for so many things. Joy. I'm fucking happy. Anger. Don't you fucking dare. Like he just goes through. He's like, it is a verb. I'll fucking kill you. He's like, it is a noun. Fuck. It's just like, it's one of those. It's so funny, bro. And like I was like, I saw that video before that documentary came out. When I saw the documentary, I'm like, that's the comedian. And I was like, oh, he's not a comedian. He's a cult leader. Like, depending on US, kind of the same thing nowadays.
No, back to this freaking crackpot who ruined his life. He said he killed himself too. Or was he put into custody? Okay, so, but man, it's just like, obviously horribly sad for these, individuals harmed by him. And then also it's just like.
It just makes you wonder if they consent. Like, I mean, of course the kids didn't consent, but it makes you think like if the women consented, like if they were that brainwashed too.
Right. Like what was is it that bad to not get an abortion? I don't know. Or whatever the thing is. It's like, it's obviously we're taking a very narrow piece of the pie, but in a less radical sense, the pie take a little bit wider cut of the pie, and just a surprising amount of people who are like going to therapy over this and like making.
We mentioned it last week. Kill myself was trending.
Right.
Now I don't know how many people actually did it, but like I hope none of them.
Right.
But it is one of those things of like, dude, again, I can't imagine thinking I'm going to kill myself, because even if it was legitimate Fidel Castro or Hitler, dude, the masculine inner urge and desire to lead a revolutionary war.
Yeah, kill someone else. Don't kill yourself.
I'm just like if we were really facing that kind of scenario, I'd be like, all right, well, like time I guess to start building the underground. Like, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be like, oh, you know what?
And that's
I just don't want to live in this world.
And that's
anymore.
on the ultimate extreme versus being like,
that's the most ultimate
versus
extreme.
being like, man, well, I guess I better like run for city council member because this is so jacked up, right?
Exactly.
All the way over to like, yes, there is the extremes, but like, and this guy took it to the extremes as well. But
yeah.
And people are kind of losing their minds a little bit, but I'm actually think I haven't seen as much like mass mind loss from the normies as we'll see how it goes in January when things kind of change around, but who knows?
I've heard that Kamala's already fundraising for recount, which just feels so slimy since like they already congratulated Trump and like shook his hand and all that.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those, but hey, don't get me wrong. Hey, Trump contested it, still contested to this day, 2020. She can contest it as much as she wants, but she just needs to make sure that she calls for peace too.
Yeah.
And like, I still don't know, like, I don't know if you've seen this, but they're still trying to run this stuff that like Trump incited January 6th.
Oh yeah.
And they're still right now pushing it. And it's just like, bro, watch. I don't know where these people were on that day if it was so important to them. I don't know why they weren't watching the same thing you and I were. Because if you watch it, he's like, go home or go to this park. We're going to relocate over here. Go home. You know, like, don't come here. And it's just like, everyone's like, no, he incited it, man. He told him to go there and kick down the doors. I'm like, he literally didn't, though. Like, we can all watch the same thing, you know? And it's one of those things that
people have Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
And that usually people apply that to like ultimate MAGA people, but no, dude, there's ultra MAGAs out there, but also like there's people who just don't want to just watch a video and see what actually happened.
Dude, I follow this one chick, her name's Gothix on YouTube. It's Goth and then IX at the end. And she's a black goth woman, and
that's radical.
She is a Trump supporter now.
That's extra radical.
And she was super anti-Trump. She cut people out of her life and unfriended them for voting for Trump in 2016.
She was an early adopter of a canceler, or 2020.
In 2016,
yes,
she was canceling people out of her life.
Early on, she was like a big time Trump hater.
Oh yeah, and then she just started like, her big thing was like the BLM riots, and she was like, "How does stealing a TV help our disenfranchisement?" And people started hating on her. And she just said a couple other things.
When the mob turned on her, she realized the lunacy.
And the mob, the mob turned on her, and she started looking, and other people were like, "Yep, this is why I'm now a black conservative." And she's like, "What do you mean?" And she just started looking into it. And then she was like, people were like, "Dude, literally watch this video of Trump. You'll see like all these articles are fake if you just spend 10 minutes watching the video." She's like, "No, that's not true." And he's like, "Okay, but just like watch the video." Right. And like she started watching just the full, and like that's a slog of time. But like she just started watching full on, like the whole thing, like not cut up or edited or just like misquoted.
Right.
She's like, "Oh wow, like actually all of them are wrong. Like all of these are wrong. Like every single one of these is wrong in how they're characterizing this or portraying this." And like they're telling lies and gaslighting people. And she was like, and then I realized one day I was like, I'm not voting for Joe Biden. And then and now she's a big Trump fan. But it was pretty crazy. Like, I think she's also like, I think she has a video like talking about being a part of the Pride community. I don't think she said she's like,
she's an A,
something,
maybe a B.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yo, be careful there, bud.
I think Goths kind of are, they're A's or B's.
Yeah. But anyways, so
they're not Q's.
They could be. I feel like
could be. I don't even know what that means anymore.
Where's the line between goth and emo?
I don't know.
Is it the Q?
I don't know what Q means.
I think it's queer questioning.
I know what it means. There's two Q's, but what I mean is like, I'm used to reading like old C.S. Lewis Chronicles of Narnia, and he's saying queer all the time, and that just makes it kind of weird.
Quite queer. Yeah. He felt quite queer.
And then I was a kid of the '90s, so there was the football game to smear the Q,
which is, when you think about it,
which was a clear cut. That just meant gay. But have you seen the black guy talking about how every letter in it just means gay? He's like, "What are we doing here?" It's all, he just goes through each one. He's like, "And that means you're gay. It's like, why don't we just call it gay?
Yeah. Anyways, that's funny.
Anyways, it's just like, because it's a whatever.
All that said, I think like, a lot of people could get really ramped up. And I just really hope that the language around all of it, even if they deny the election being fair or whatever, I just hope the language of it is still a call to peace and a call to a judicial process, just like Trump has been saying for, all these years. And I doubt he'll get it, but it is one of those things of like, it just needs to be peaceful. And I'm not going to say, Kamala doesn't have any right to question the results. She can. I mean, Hillary questioned the results when Trump won. Everyone questioned the results when Joe won. Everyone questions the results right now. I feel like it's a little bit less questioned right now because of how freaking brutal it was that we had a total red sweep across everything. So I think like that kind of sweep just makes everyone feel like, okay, like this was a legitimate shift in the populace. But all I said, moving on, unless there's anything else you want to talk about election wise.
I don't think so. But the funny thing about the recount stuff is like, I mean, she lost by millions and millions of votes. But and like in Colorado it was I guess 400,000 votes difference, which is kind of not that much compared to like California. Like in California, Trump lost by 3 million votes. Yeah,
but he also turned a lot of things. He had the best performance of California since Reagan.
Oh yeah, no, it was still huge. Yeah, but it's just still crazy. Like that. One, just looking at, I guess I also a couple things.
She's calling for recounts and raising money to do recounts in like Pennsylvania, Michigan, states, Arizona, sure.
the places Nevada. Where it was close. But the things that I'm always surprised about is one, every election I'm always surprised by like how close it is, where it's like 48% to 50%.
Yeah,
and I'm always like, that's crazy to me. Like it's pretty much 50-50 every year, plus or minus 2%.
Yeah, I mean, depending where you go.
But I mean, on the nationwide, like that's like, which is just crazy to me. And then also like, I just don't realize or comprehend the sheer like populations of some of these places. Where like, for instance, in Colorado, like our total vote count was 3 million. In California, it was 12 million or no 13 million. I mean, that's just great. Or in New York, this tiny little place, 7 million just like votes. So it's just like, anyways, I'm always, regardless of politics, everything else, I just always forget about how many people live on the coast.
Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy. That's so many people. And it's I need to visit those places more often to keep more of a barometer on what the country's actually like, what it's actually going through. Because we kind of live in the beautiful, insulated West. We live in the West, not the West Coast. We live in the West. United States, it's great. We're spread out. It's easy life. And then we're even more insulated up here in Northern Colorado, right? And so, but anyways, that's my one little note on that. It's just like regardless of politics, I always forget about those East and West Coast, how freaking packed in those poor bastards are.
Yeah. Dude, I also like have been seeing this just online, like all these people talking about how in the rage on Reddit, they're like posting text chains with family members. Like, I just cut my parents off. And like a lot of them are like, I'm a Gen Zer or I'm a millennial who is paying for my parents' cell phone service or paying for my parents' internet, or my parents live rent free in the house I own now, and I'm going to start charging them rent. And it's like, bro, like,
because they voted for Trump.
Oh yeah. All of them are voted for Trump. And they're like, I cut them off out of my life. And like all these emails, don't get me wrong, sometimes it's like pretty drastic stuff, like hateful stuff between both parties. But there was a couple I was reading where it was like, not emails. That's so boomer to say emails. All these text messages.
Some IMs.
Yeah. And there's one where this girl's blowing up in her message to her mom about Trump winning, and then her mom was like, honey, you know, some of us did vote for Trump, and like, but like that doesn't mean we don't care. And she's like, are you kidding me? You voted for Trump? And she blows up again, big long text blurb. Her mom gives like kind of like an apology consolation thing of like,
yeah,
it's not a personal thing about like, I didn't vote for him because I don't love you. I voted for him because I agree with him. And, you know, and it really at the end of the day shouldn't matter that much because, you know, I still love you and like we're family. And like there's no hateful thing from her mother. And she just is asking Reddit, she's like, am I the asshole for turning off my mom and dad's internet and deleting their phone numbers? And everyone's like, no, they voted for capitalism. They get capitalism. It's so socialist and communist for you to be supporting them and paying their internet bill. They need to pay their own. I'm like, dude,
no, it's not.
It's so brutal.
That's the beauty of capitalism, to be able to provide for your parents.
yeah, right. And it's just one of those brutal things where I'm just like, what are you going to do in like a year when everything's still okay and you haven't moved to another country and your parents now, you've lost a year with them, dude. You've lost a year.
Yeah.
I can't imagine not talking to my mom for a year.
Yeah.
That would devastate me.
It's lost time, man.
Yeah.
Don't get it back.
And like these, I don't know, they're so dumb. Especially when we're just talking about the transfer of wealth. Those parents aren't transferring their wealth to those kids.
Well, I'd say this. I think this is a generalization, but it's not the right cutting the left out. Right.
Dude, yeah, no one
by and large.
Yeah, how many of your liberal friends did you cut off when Biden won? I haven't told any of my liberal friends, hey, don't talk to me. I've had several of them say, like, don't you ever talk to me. Like, I hate you. Right. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been informed by several of our like mutual friends. They're like, hey, just so you know, so-and-so hates your guts. And I'm like, yeah, tight.
Yeah.
Sad to hear that because I love them.
Exactly. And so by and large, and maybe like 99%, like I'll be like, I'll generalize it all the way. Like, there's some crazies on the right. Also, here's the deal. We're peace loving, freedom people. And most of us voting for this guy this time around are also still like pretty middle of the line. And we would appreciate an alternative, but this is the one to go with this time around. But we're not cutting people out. We're not like you're saying, like, just like, you know, letting it affect our personal lives so deeply in these crazy ways. And then on top of that, the way that the vitriol is just like so like acceptable, like you were saying in the comments, where everybody's like, oh yeah, you got to do that to him. It's like, whoa, like it's just so divided. And so like, and America's been divided for a very long time. Like I've said, look at the votes over the years. It's always been 50-50 plus or minus 2 to 3% on the popular vote.
Yeah.
But the hate and vitriol division has not been there like it is now.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. I think it's pretty crazy. Also, just so you know, by the way, our wives are of course hanging out right now. They're watching the Golden Bachelorette finale. They are drinking cocktails with literal golden glitter in it. That's edible. I did see, hear me out. This isn't crazy. This is crazy. Sometimes I think girls joke or exaggerate things, right? And I think they might think like, you know, Mick and Pat just go to the podcast and they just pull their wieners out and just sit there like goobers.
Yeah.
So when I like, and I know that's an expression, right, or whatever, of like how dumb or Neanderthal like guys are. And I'm not even saying either of our wives have said that, but I see my wife coming home today with like a bag full of things for like some Ferrero Rocher golden wrapped chocolates, right, and other stuff, and I see like the stickies for like covering up nipples. But they're like, you know, kind of soft padded one, but they're in the shapes of flowers and stars. And I was like, and my first reaction, because you know everything has been building up to like them having their girls' night
pasties.
Yeah, and I was like, what are you guys gonna do? Sit around with your boobs out? And like my wife looked at me like I was the most stupidest person that had ever walked into her life. And she's like, gosh. No, they're for like my toplet, like my strapless bra, right? They're like for wearing one of those. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but like you can't pretend like my question was like that far out of left field. like would the girls get together and they're just having a girls' night and no dudes are around? Like, I don't know. I know what it's like when the dudes get together and no girls are around. Yeah. Sometimes you run around naked. You know what I mean? So like, whatever. Like, I get it. Like, but it was one. Come on, back me up here. Am I that? Like, like, how surprised would you be if, like, now we walked in on it, but like we just knew it occurred of like a joke, like they threw on pasties and we're like, woo, Golden Bachelorette, woo. Yeah, I would be like weird, but I wouldn't be like.
I would not be approving, but I would not be like, I would be hypocritical.
Yeah.
Meaning to your point, being like, it'd be like, how could you ever do that? Meanwhile, I'm over here on the hunting trip, like, you know, mooning my buddy or giving him,
out for a rombi.
Giving him the goat, you know?
Yeah.
The goat's always a great maneuver.
Bro, I literally just gave my homie staying the night with us for his stuff. He came out of the bathroom to a full-on goat.
Yeah. And so if you heard about ladies giving the Arby's sandwich, I'd be like, what the hell's wrong with you? This is horrible. You know, like, you can't do that. That's illegal in like 48 Muslim countries, including in my home.
Yeah.
So I'm hypocritical of that, but also like you're saying, it wouldn't be like completely unreasonable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I couldn't see, honestly, our wives doing that.
Well, I mean, that's why I had to ask.
You had to just clarify real quick.
What scenario?
Yeah. And I love this show too. I haven't watched a single episode of it, but it's like, oh, Gertrude, keep your dentures out. You know, it's like, oh, it's like, I'm going to break your hip. You know, it's like, it's horrible. Coming in a walker.
Yeah.
The Golden Bachelor.
Yeah. It's so funny though. That's so funny. Excuse me.
Back to morbidity, because I think there's more stories.
Yeah. All right. So, Brian Cohey.
Oh man, I don't like him.
Brian Cohey. Dude, I just gotta open up the video. It's. The intro to it is unreal, and just like how he delivers a line and switches goes from like this timid, socially awkward, nervous guy
for sure
to like just like stone cold killer.
For some context, out in it's Grand Junction, right? Grand Junction, Colorado, in 2021, February 2021. He murdered at the time he's 19-year-old. Murdered a homeless man, and you know, we'll get into like what he did, that sort of thing, but like basically the cops came. I don't know how the cops got the. I think the parents. His mom turned
him in
because his mom find a hand, or did he find the head in the closet, or
so? Yeah. You know? So his mom was cleaning his room up while he was over at his friend's house. His friend was younger girl still in high school. He had just graduated. She was still like 17 or 18 in her senior year. And she essentially was, I don't know, she found the head while cleaning the room.
In his closet.
And like it was wrapped up in plastic bags, and she brought it to the kitchen sink and started opening it, and she saw like his ear.
Yeah.
So she called her husband to get home now. He came home, threw a towel over it, and they had put in the other bag with the guy's hands in the sink as well. And so then they called.
And they made a hard decision. Or I'd say the right decision, but a hard decision as a parent.
Yeah, they called the police, and then the police showed up the next morning to confront Brian Cohey on what it was. And I'm going to actually play that right now here. Just so that way people can get an idea for this scenario and how this guy sounded. So the police are walking up to him at their house right now.
Found in your room?
And
yeah.
he's like this kind of socially awkward. You can tell he doesn't know where to put his hands.
The deputy makes contact with Brian using a friendly, disarming greeting, which goes further to establish an atmosphere of calm. Of course, at the same time, the deputy is certainly scanning the area for any potential threats, as well as making sure that Brian has his hands where he can see them.
How much? Cooperate. I am going to cooperate.
Okay, so parents have some concerns of some stuff that...
You can hear his dad says cooperate as like, and his dad's not a very, I would say like manly, masculine, intimidating guy. And as he says that, you can hear Brian Coey respond to his dad like in like a cracked kind of shrill voice, like, I am going to cooperate, you know?
Cooperate. I am going to cooperate.
Okay, so parents have some concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room?
Yeah, I believe so.
And he says that. He says, yeah, I believe so. Like a little bit of a head tilt, thumbs in the pockets, shoulders really hiked up, deep exhale, chest out. And he's like, okay. Oh gosh, I'm in trouble now. It's sinking in.
And he's like a big husky kid, just like a husky kind of.
He's like 6'1", 6'2".
But he's really not like he's got glasses, 80s hairdo.
He's no, what's his name? What's the dude who like ate his mom and had sex with his mom's head? Not Dahmer.
Oh God, that's a horrible thing. I don't even know whoever he was.
It's Ed something. Who's in the 80s.
Big guy.
Yeah, Ed Kemp.
No, yeah, he's not Edward Kemp, but he's like just like a big kid.
Yeah,
unassuming individual.
Oh, very unassuming, just by like appearance. But and the police ask, you know, and what would it be?
What would it be?
A human head and hands.
Do you have anything on you? He's going to cut, poke, hurt, stick
that
anything?
Twist, man. The way he, like, you see him, and it's and the shoulders stop, they sag, the head turns into the police officer, staring him right in the eyes. He's not in custody or anything right now. He's not arrested. A human head and hands.
Yeah, dude, it shifts.
It's like a total snap. It's one of the most unsettling things. I just got to do it again. I'm going to play it all the way through without pausing it, so that way people get the full experience.
Okay, so parents have some concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room?
Yeah, I believe so.
And what would it be?
A human head and hands.
That's unedited. That's straight, like, unedited from the badge cam. If you want to watch more of this, it's Explore With Us is the YouTube account. They do over a lot of, like, crime, police body cam stuff. They show interviews in the interview room. Excuse me. But if you want to check it out, you should check out their video. It's a really great one. It's an hour and 42 minutes, but just great beginning to end of the whole interview process and what his sentencing was. But we'll do some summary and discussion here just so you guys have the context going into it. But Brian Cohey on, I think if I remember correctly, it was like February
2021.
It was in 2021, but it was like sometime in early February that he was going out for a drive in his car. And he put on, because he felt this urge, it was a full moon, and he had this urge to go out and kill. And he had been thinking about it for a long time about murdering someone. And he had even debated murdering his female friend that he was at the house of and what it would be like to kill her. And this is all stuff he confesses in the interrogation room. But he clearly had this fantasy like obsession, because he was wearing, I don't even know if he said, I can't remember if he said he wore it for Halloween or if he just went out and bought it because he had like a fantasy obsession with the concept. But he bought the Michael Myers costume of, you know, the zip up mechanic suit and the mask that you pull over. That's the Michael Myers Halloween mask. And he snuck a kitchen knife from his mom, and he had this giant kitchen knife, and he was driving around and he saw this homeless guy sleeping under an overpass in Grand Junction. He's like, all right, I'm going to do it because I can do it here and get away with it, and no one will care because this is just an old homeless guy over here. And so he put on the mask and went over and wrestled the homeless guy out of his like sleeping bag. And he goes into, he like remembers it very clearly. Like the homeless guy's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then he started stabbing him in the neck. And the homeless guy just kept on asking him, why are you doing this? And he in the interview room says he didn't say anything. He just growled and barked at him while he stabbed him. And then he, like, afterwards, started dismembering the man. Warren Barnes was his name. And he said the only reason he did it was not to hide anything. He had no desire or intention to hide anything, to conceal the body. He just wanted to know what it felt like, what it looked like. And so he dismembered and like dissected this man's body before he was like satiated. And even in the interrogation room, he said, you know, it was actually kind of a letdown. It wasn't as good as everyone said it would be. Like, everyone talks about like the best feeling in the world they ever had was killing. He's like, if I could go back and decide whether or not to do it again, I wouldn't do it. And he's like, not because I regret it, not because I feel bad. It was, the whole thing was like, it just wasn't as good as people said it would be. It wasn't as enjoyable. Like, there's other things that are more enjoyable. And it was just weird. Like, that was the reason why he wouldn't do it. But he killed Warren Barnes, believing no one would notice. But this is kind of where he was wrong. He took the man's head, of course, and his hands, and put them in plastic bags, double wrapped them and stuff, and brought them back with him in his car. And he took the body into his trunk of his car. And this is totally impulse. Like, he didn't plan, he didn't plastic wrap his trunk or anything. And he goes to the Colorado River, which I've actually gone off, like the point where he dropped this guy's body off at. I've launched off there for like, 3-day, 4-day trips down the Colorado River. And so it was really unsettling to see that in the camera footage of like the body cams and stuff. Cause I was like, oh my gosh, like I know exactly where that's at. Like I know I've stepped in the sand there. And so he is there and he is unloading the body into the river, but he's backed down in reverse. So his trunk is of course facing the river, and he's in this, sedan. And when he starts to try to drive away after unloading the body, his car's stuck in like the mud of like a winter riverbed. And so his car actually just burns too much of the, like it essentially sinks itself deeper and then rolls backwards, losing traction into the river. So he calls his parents to come and help him. His parents show up and he's taking clothes off and all that. So he's just like in his parents' truck when the police arrived to this call.
The police came to this call.
Yeah, because they called it in, right? Like the parents like, oh my gosh, we got to call the police. Like we got a car in the river. We don't want them to think there was an accident. The police show up and they see the car there. They interview him about it. Like, what are you doing out here so late at night? What's going on? He's like, I just need to drive and clear my air and stuff and like just chill out. And the police are like, all right. And like they're looking over and they're like literally laughing about it in the badge cam because like, what a dork kid.
Have you seen the badge cam of that?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so they go back though and confront him. They say, hey, we noticed one thing, because of course the way air is in an engine block, the front of the car is sunk already, but the trunk's up. They're like, there was something that looks like blood on the back of the trunk. And he's like, oh really? What? And like, yeah, did you hurt yourself, injure yourself? He's like, no, I don't think so. I don't feel hurt. I don't have any scratches or cuts. And they're like, okay. And they just let it go. They let it go. And so they get the truck towed out and is back at the shop of like where his dad works. His dad ran the life vest company that was like renting and loaning out life vests for river trips. So he's got like a bay shed and stuff to work on things. And he's cleaning up the car and he finds in the car the wallet of Warren Barnes. Not only that, he also definitely finds and identifies like that is for sure blood on the back of the trunk. And he opens up about it, and his son Brian he claims like, oh, my injury on my armpit opened up again. He had just had surgery for a mole removal or something.
And claimed like his mole just bled like a pint.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And he's like, do you know who's Warren Barnes to you? Do you know Warren Barnes? He's like, Dad, I don't know who Warren Barnes is. He's like, his wallet's in your car, in your side door. He's like, oh yeah. Like I just found it. I picked it up. I was going to try to take it and turn it in. I totally forgot it was in the car. And his dad was like, are you lying? Like his dad asked him like, are you, and he's like, no. And then of course that day is also when his mom found the remains of Warren. And so they call the police, and the police put it all together and kind of start realizing, like, okay, Warren Barnes is missing. And not only that, like, he'd been reported missing because even though he was homeless,
people notice when people go missing.
He was a staple of the community. He every day would go to the same coffee shop, wait there. They'd unlock the doors and let him in for coffee before anyone else got there. They give him a free coffee. Then he went to this lady's thrift store where she always had a chair ready for him to sit inside or out. And he would just pick up books that were there at the thrift store and read them. And he was just a friendly guy. And there's actually like a plaque in memoriam to him and a bench because of how, you know, well known and beloved he was by the community. And he was clearly like an individual who chose to be homeless. You know, anyone, like all these people talk like, we'd let him stay with us if he wanted to, but he doesn't want. He's an individual who roams, right? He's a vagabond. And so he killed someone who was deeply, you know, cherished and recognized and cared about in the community. And in doing so, police already knew about the report. So when they get the call from the mom and dad, like, hey, I have this wallet for Warren Barnes. There's a head and hands in the sink. They're like, okay, like, we got this kid. And so, of course, he confesses that, like, yep, my mom and dad found this head and hands, and they take him in. They don't even handcuff him when they take him in.
Yeah.
They put him in the back of the cruiser and just walk him into the interrogation room. The two detectives come in and he sits down. He's like, so I guess I'm going to jail, right? And they're like, well, what happened? And he's like, well, you know, it's over, so I might as well like confess it and tell you all about it, right? And he just lights up, dude. I mean, and he's drawing on the whiteboard for them and the diagram of where he was coming from in his car and where Warren was when he was sleeping.
He's
and
drawing on the wall
where he threw the arms. Yeah. Well, no, it's a whiteboard. Like, he re-erases it later. I thought it was a wall too. I think it's a giant whiteboard wall.
Okay, okay, I see that. I thought he was just going cuckoo on there.
But he's like, you know, and he recreates it. He plays it out. He gets on his hands and knees and he's pretending to stab Warren again and just totally enraptured, you know, on display and showing to everyone else what he did. And they're like reinforcing it by like being like, so why did you do that? And he's like, well, I read in my homicide crime scene books, like, this is how they would often catch a killer, or, you know, this was kind of, or like a body was good for so many days before it began to smell and decompose. And they're like, oh yeah, no, you're right. Oh, you know so much. You're so smart. And they just kept on reinforcing it while he goes into detail. And I'm not going to go into graphic detail here because, you know, if you want to watch and listen and just try to understand, and, you know, if you're someone like me who really, you know, has that mentality and mindset of like, I want to know what this person's thinking and the psyche behind this thing, like, then like you can watch the video. If you're someone who's like, I want to live in bliss, not knowing exactly how someone details what they just did, then I'll spare you of it. But he ultimately, he pled insanity, but he was not allowed, like, they didn't accept the plea. They said it was the most gruesome, the judge said it was the most gruesome murder scene he had ever seen in one of the most horrendous crimes he'd ever heard of. And so because of his, you know, confession and stuff and not being believed to be insane, he was sentenced to life. And yeah, he is, I can't remember. I think he's in the one down in
Fluorescent Supermax.
Yeah, the Supermax in Colorado. But he it's just crazy. Like when you see this is like one of the best cases of like a truly sociopathic, maybe not sociopathic, psychopathic. Can't remember. But just someone who's like,
go back to episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2 of this podcast. But someone who's just totally like absolutely two different people and has that switch. And that's the craziest thing is like when he's alone in the interrogation room, you see him switch back. Insecure, uncomfortable, shaking, like looks like he doesn't know what to do with anything in his body. Like he doesn't know where to put his arms, his hands, his feet. And then the moment he has that audience and he can be honest about it and go into detail about it, it's like he knows what he's totally different, like dynamic in person.
It's weird. No, it's wild. And it's you know, you don't got to dig into the whole thing. It's worth finding that video of him with that body cam, that little thing we played out, you know, where it's just you see this instant shift in who he is. And, you know, it's gross and weird, and these people come to be and somehow happen. And I bet his parents are pretty normal. Who knows, you know, what the situation was of his upbringing. Who knows? But it's super gross, man. And whenever I see these things and dig into them, like, one of the things that ticks me off the most is how long it takes to get a trial done.
Oh, yeah.
So he was arrested March 2021, and it was not until February 2023 that his trial and sentencing happened. What's up with that? Here's the deal. Yes, you need the right to a fair process and due process. You have a complete right to due process. Pleading insanity, whatever. We all know that's the move. That's your first try, especially if you have anything from the DSM-5. You know, I have ADHD, so I'm insane, you know, or whatever you want to try to use. But same thing with, like, who was it? The shooter for the theater for the Batman movie.
Oh, yeah.
His trial was like 3 years after it happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It's pretty damn obvious who done it. Like in that case, you know, they arrested him on the site, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, the kid says he did it, takes him in a room, walks him through the whole thing. And maybe we could sometime we should have a discussion on the death penalty in here and how we feel about it.
Yeah.
Because there's certain individuals in certain instances where I personally believe you forfeited your right to continue to roam the earth or exist on the earth. And it's kind of in contradiction to my belief is that individuals can be redeemed as well from, like, my other standpoints. And so I'm conflicted in the death penalty as well myself. But I've arrived at the fact that sometimes take that person out, hang a rope over a tree, and strap them up real good. So first of all, Satin didn't get this trial done for 2 years. And now, guess what he gets to do? 3 square meals a day, live out the rest of his life. It's kind of a miserable life, but this kid seems like someone who likes to just read books anyways. Get an all unlimited amount of that in jail. You know, like, I don't know. This is my little rant, my little thing where I'm like, listen, hang him from a tree, be done with it. Me and you and the rest of everybody here get to pay for him to exist the rest of the time for, you know, he's freaking 21. He's going to live for another 80 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like, anyways, that's like my, like, in bigger picture thing that just, when I see these things, it drives me crazy. Super disgusting. This guy, I keep saying kid because he was 19, but really this man, you know, disgusting. And we had somebody here in our town kill a homeless man about, heck, it could have been 5 years ago. It could have been 3 months ago. My mental clock's so messed up. But same thing here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Same thing. Homeless man was murdered here by a young individual. And it's just, I don't know, man. Like, things like, I think of, like, Reddit and, like, forums and deep dark webs and go down on these little where you can find, we've talked about this before, where all these people can find their little, like, subculture. Or before, if you lived in a town of 500 people, you were just the weirdo.
Yeah.
Now, guess what? All the weirdos can find each other and reinforce their sickness.
Well, the crazy thing too with that whole video, if you watch it, is like all of his quote unquote friends from high school, they all were like, yeah, he was the only one though that we all thought like he might kill somebody. And he would just tell them, he was like, I really want to kill someone, or like it'd be crazy to kill someone. And like they never at once reported it. And like when the news came out, they in that video they go over the interviews with the teachers, All of his teachers are like, not surprised. Every single one of them was like, I wasn't surprised when I found out it was Brian. Someone was like, I think someone even said something along the lines of like, I knew it was Brian before they said the name.
Right.
Whereas like, holy shit, like maybe do something about it, you know? Like, I get the system's broken, but dude, like freaking let the police know. Because, okay, if you let the police know and you are the squeaky wheel long enough, maybe he gets moved from the school. Maybe the parents are like, well, this isn't sustainable for us. And like, you know, we need to move him to a different place. Okay, so they pull him out of that school away from his friends that are reinforcing these thoughts and behavior and asking him about it all the time, and, like interacting with it. And then he gets to potentially be in a new environment where he's going to meet new people and hopefully be pulled down a different path. You know what I mean? It's like just anything to change the variables. Because it's like essentially like the variables not changing is what leads to this, right? So I don't know. All that said, crazy stuff. It's a great video that goes through like the whole process and beginning to end of the interviews and the interrogation, as well as like the whole investigation by the police. Really encourage people to check it out if you're into kind of the crime stuff. But Pat,
sir,
I'm being informed by our wives that the Golden Bachelor is ceased.
It's over.
It's over.
All right.
And I think we have to return
back to the grind.
Oh yeah, I don't think I said this. I was also informed by my wife that they need you to drive me to your house where they are currently.
All right.
That they had a few too many golden glitter
all right
cocktails.
All right. That's funny. Oh man. Well, we covered a couple things here tonight.
A lot of good stuff. A classic Mick and Pat episode.
Exactly. So this will be airing after you've just listened to hopefully listen to the part 2 of Paul Navarre's moose hunt. And that was a super fun episode we did. Hope you, if you didn't listen to it, go back and check it out. That was a great time with him.
Guy's got such a good voice.
He's got a great voice and great stories and just a genuine, awesome individual. So check that out. And we're happy to keep doing this. I'm flying out in the morning to the sunny beaches of Hawaii,
anti-2A socialist nation of Hawaii.
This is true. But I'm going to enjoy some beach time, and then we'll be back at it recording here soon. But yeah, any closing things you got for him?
Pat, have fun, be safe. Hope you enjoy Hawaii. It's a great place. And I think the last little closing thing I'd say is, folks, the world's going to keep spinning. If you did vote for Trump, make sure to show love and kindness to those who didn't. If you didn't vote for Trump, show love and kindness to those who did. And honestly, we'll probably be far less divided. And doing that is going to pull us in the direction where we'll have a much more moderate candidate who recognizes the largest voter base are people who get along and see eye to eye on most things and can love each other regardless of politics. That's my sign off. Pat.
Till next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.